The thing that gets me about ableism is it expects this slavish, blind obedience to its norms. It tells us that the way that we think, behave, and communicate is inherently defective, that we should be a certain way, that if you're not, you're inferior, you're a bad person. And it's not just an accusation, it's the full weight of the moral implication, a condemnation of our entire being as neurodivergents because we don't meet that norm. And it insists that actually its way is the way, and if you don't take its way, you have to take the highway. You'll be rejected and excluded, and you'll be kicked to the curb by people who serve neurotypicals, who often serve as agents or enforcers of these norms of ableism. Whether they know it or don't know it, everybody's wired to believe that things should go a certain way. There is a baseline that neurotypicals have wittingly or unwittingly set for how they think interactions, behaviors, thought processes should go. And even we, as neurodivergents, can internalize those and have them. I can catch myself being ableistic in my own expectations of other people when they don't meet a certain standard of behavior or what I consider to be normal. So it's universal. It's not exclusively just neurotypicals, but it is neurotypical culture that manufactures this idea of a norm and enforces it. And we ourselves, as well as neurodivergents, can become enforcers too, unwittingly. And so as a result of that, there's this kind of bullying attitude by people that leads to us as neurodivergents being sidelined, being marginalized. We enforce it because we feel that our social tribe can only survive if we all adhere to the same rigid norms. And it's often presented in our own minds, whether we're conscious of it or not, as being a matter of survival. If you don't follow these rules, you're a danger to yourself, and you're a danger to other people, and you're a danger to society. Nobody's going to think that explicitly, but that is the underlying logic that fuels social conformity. We need social cohesion, and to have social cohesion, we need to have conformity, and conformity requires, to some extent, not questioning social norms and not going against them. And human diversity has always existed and found a way to survive and sometimes even flourish. But and also that diversity is the source of many advances and great accomplishments in our society. But it's often come at great expense to the individual who's had to swim against the current, go against the grain. And they've suffered backlash because of their differences, because they're not conforming to expectations. But they've broken waves, they're trailblazers, they've contributed monumental things to society. Whether these people were neurodivergent or not, it's not for me to say, but many people who do innovate are neurodivergent. And they have to be willing to come out of that box, to give up that blind, slavish obedience to social norms, and to think outside the box, to say, hey, maybe this is possible. Hey, maybe this isn't the way we should do things. And that challenge is often rejected in the moment, and in hindsight is lauded and applauded as a sign of a great accomplishment, but it's not recognized in that moment, often. And so the onus falls on the neurodivergent or the person who deviates from social norms to continue keeping their head above the waves and keep trying and trying to persist with their original thinking, their original approach, their original behavior, something that deviates from social norms, and hope that there'll be recognition and hope that they can make an impact without being crushed by the pressure to conform. And this obedience, at the end of the day, becomes its own oppressor when we internalize it. And we find that we can't come out of that box and we can't think differently. And because of that, we are ourselves tyrannizing ourselves, oppressing ourselves, because we don't want to even allow the possibility that we should think, behave, or communicate outside that box, because we know that there's negative implications for us. But if you're willing to come out of that box, if you're willing to brave the wilderness of deviating from social norms and being different, because we are inherently different, our neurotype is wired a different way, then there's great possibility for ourselves. And there's also great peril and costs. And this is the line that we have to straddle as neurodivergents, being willing to be original thinkers, to not behave in necessarily the ways that are deemed acceptable or normal by society. Have you struggled as a neurodivergent with this? Have you experienced the backlash I've described? And have you been able to persevere and accomplish great things for yourself or maybe for other people, or made a great contribution? I would love to hear all about your experiences.